Welcome to the Drop the Needle podcast, your backstage pass to the mystical realm. I'm your host, Jim Alstott, and here, gifted souls step up to the mic sharing their spiritual journey. We're hitting the high notes and the low notes of their awakening, creating a symphony of enlightenment. This isn't just another interview show. This is where divine insights are channeled and universal truths are revealed. So crank up your stereo and sit back, because who knows, this just might help you compose the next transformative chapter of your soul's purpose. Are you ready? Let's go. I'm Jim Alstott, and this is the Drop the Needle podcast. Today's a different kind of episode. I've got 5 of us here. 5 incredible practitioners are on this table. We have Julie Grant, Connie Smok, Carolyn Sidick will be joining us shortly, Gail Alexander, and Carrie Müller. So instead of 5 separate interviews, we're just going to talk. We're going to talk openly together, the way we will be doing very soon at the Eaglewood Resort in Itasca for the Listening Field Retreat, August 21st through the 23rd. My hope is that by the end of this conversation, you don't just understand what the retreat is about, you'll actually feel it. So why don't we just go ahead and dive in? And normally what I do is I invite each person to give a little background, but you know what? I'm not going to do that this time, because you can go to our website, which is thechillcrew.org, and get a glimpse of the bios. So what we'll do instead today is we're going to open this up with some questions. Now, I got to be honest with you. I had a little help with some of the questions because I just needed it, because everybody's got such a cool background. I didn't want to dive in too much to give everything away as far as what's going to be happening at the retreat. So the questions we'll have should be pretty interesting. And so question number 1, when you're in a room with people who are truly awake and open, not thinking about it, but actually feeling it, what happens in your body? What does that energy feel like?
I guess I can go first. I start to buzz as well. My whole body starts to vibrate when I'm in a room full of people who are very high vibe energy. It feels like I've just had about 3 glasses of coffee.
Mhm.
Everything is shaking and vibrating. And it's a really cool feeling, but sometimes people get nervous when they start to feel that. They think something's wrong with them. And I think you have to start to learn the difference between what's energy and what might be physical things, because energy can mimic physical illnesses as well.
How so? Like, what would somebody feel?
Well, I think like when your energy is really vibrating and buzzing, sometimes it can feel like you're having a heart attack because your heart is racing. You feel like you might be having an anxiety attack because your energy is just pulsing and coursing through your entire body. And if you're not used to that, it can be very scary.
I could see that. What about the people? No, I guess you'd be speaking for them, but when you do these presentations or events, what do people tell you they're feeling? Do people share that with you guys?
I'll pop in. Some of the things that I have been privy to, especially sessions and classes that I have, is that not everybody, and I think being in those spaces often, not everybody walks in the same, especially with where they are with regards to their process in life and what they're going through. I find from one class to the next, we have like a fluctuation of different vibrations. Sometimes we have, some classes feel like they're all, when we're just about to drop in, everybody drops in together and they're in sync. And other classes, people are still out here and some people just drop in. You can see these people are already battling and these ones aren't. And I think it depends, because I've seen where, it fluctuates the whole way through. And it's not a constant like, oh, this is a good vibe until like the end of the session. For me, I get or I've seen a lot of fluctuations. Sometimes I get like where it's all, and it's every so often where everybody just like out cold, and it's all you can see them just like in coherence together in the room. But that doesn't happen like very often. There's normally 1, 2, 3 people that can't sync in with the rest of the.
You get the snorers, you get people snoring.
I get the snorers, and then I get people that wake up and say, that was 5 minutes, and then they complain because it was 50, and my back can feel it after 50 minutes. So, yeah, I think it just goes from person to person, and especially in bigger crowds, you see it a lot more. The smaller ones are, I think they kind of pick up on each other's vibration a lot easier. Where you're in such a, when you get the bigger groups, you can see that's like, if you were to look at a sound wave, it kind of, it graduates by itself. It's uneven. It's not even, if I'm explaining myself correctly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the wave moves.
It's not consistent. It'll be
right.
up and down. Let's say more sort of your like decibel level when you've got the thing with when you're too close to the mic and when you're not,
like this.
Like that, exactly.
Okay.
And then it goes bing. Yeah.
Yes.
So spike. And
I was thinking about this because Gail had talked about the energy that she feels, and then out in the groups. I had the opportunity to attend an event that Connie had recently in the Chicagoland area. And I'm curious, Connie, what's the energy you feel? Because it looks like you're just getting jolted with something. It just totally zapped energy wise. You're on fire when you're doing your thing.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Yeah, you do get zapped. I mean, there's different things. But to me, it's zapped in a good way, and every crowd is different. Going back to what Carrie was saying, as far as the dynamics, where some just seems to be a different vibe than others, and being a medium, connecting with spirit, a high vibe is essential. So the higher the vibe, the easier the connection is. Mm-hmm. And you can tell a difference in different types of settings. And not that something is good or bad. It's just you might have some people who are really struggling and grieving, which makes it a heavier energy. Right. The beautiful thing, though, which I love about group energies, especially for people who are coming to this retreat, which is going to be amazing, because when you're in a group energy, you get raised to the highest level of the person of the group. So what that means for people coming, not only are they getting all these gifted people giving so many wonderful tips and techniques that they can actually go home with, they're actually getting vibed up. They're getting leveled up and they don't even realize it. If you're clairsentient, right, which we'll talk about in the group when we're there. If you're clairsentient, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel that leveling up. Others may notice it as subtle shifts and changes, especially as they get home and they start integrating these energies into their everyday life. Things start to slowly shift. So some may have some dramatic changes, like overnight, but most of them are going to have these subtle shifts that they can take with them, and this energy that they get back from this group collective. They're going to start seeing their life changing in positive ways. People will start energetically leaving without even having to do a thing that do not resonate with their energy field anymore. And it's not to fear. People think, oh my gosh, people are going to leave. No, this is people. They may be back when it's time, when maybe they level up a little bit, but everyone's in our life for a reason, season, and a purpose. And the purpose of this is to really not just see what the potential is for each person, for them to be able to see different aspects and areas of spirituality, but energetically they're leveling up without even having to really do much, if that makes sense. So, and being a medium too, it's like trying to identify what is yours and what is spirit, because people don't realize how much energy spirit can weigh on you depending on the loved ones who are on the other side, or people who they just attract at the grocery store, right?
Right.
So that has an impact, but you're going to learn about all that too, which is a beautiful thing. So a lot of things about energy.
That's very cool. And now, by the way, Carolyn Sidick has joined us now. So, and I have to tell you, everyone too, Carolyn and Carrie are both in Doha, Qatar. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Carolyn, I don't know if you heard this first question, and I want to hear from Julie as well. When you're in a room with people who are truly awake and open, not thinking about it, but actually feeling it, what happens in your body? What does that energy feel like?
For me, yeah. So when you're in that kind of environment, it's a feeling of just feeling connected, being understood. And I just think when you have people like that, the energy, it's just amazing. When you're in a room of people like that, you can just feel how positive everything is. And I get a right buzz out of being with people that are like-minded and, feel the same way.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Julie, how about you?
I see color first. The room always looks very colorful and the color vibrates. And I agree with all the ladies. It can be a wave of certain people. Like you can tell people who are newer to their awakening. And I feel like sometimes I gravitate towards them to kind of try to help them feel more safe and that this is okay to allow their vibration to keep lifting up. But it's almost like you're home. I feel like if you compare it to walking through the grocery to me is very heavy. I have a really hard time at the grocery. I just get in and out. I think people are thinking all kinds of things. I think the food it gives off a certain energy. But you walk into a workshop where the intention is to help yourself, the vibration is completely different. And then especially when the practitioners come together, it is literally vibrating in the room. You have to make sure you're grounded for sure.
Yeah, right. And nobody has to worry about that. We'll make sure everybody's in a great, safe space, and so no concerns there. So you all do very different work: constellation therapy, sound, intuitive development, energy, hygiene, connection beyond death. But I bet each of you had a moment where you knew without a doubt, this is real. This isn't in my head. Take us there.
Oh gosh.
There's a bunch. And narrow that one down.
Yeah. I think very, very early on is when I knew who was calling. And this is before cell phones. Like on the other end of the phone, I knew who it was and
Wrong number.
why they were calling. I think that was the very start of it. And then you just start paying attention and more coincidences start happening. And you have this knowing. It's this innate knowing, and it's your intuition that's starting to open up, and you just start trusting it.
But you know what I'm saying, though, with that, because let's say, for example, people hear voices, right? And they're like, okay, am I going crazy? Am I losing my grip on things, or is this, what is it? I would imagine there's got to be a little leap of faith in this too, right?
Well, a huge leap of faith, but that's when I personally reached out to a Reiki practitioner and said, this is what's happening. And she held my hand and mentored me for a year of helping me understand why I was starting to see spirit, hear spirit, feel spirit. And she was the one who gave me the terminology awakening and sent me to websites to start researching it on my own. And that's when Hay House Radio really landed me. I listened to the radio. I listened to this radio on a website, right? As much as I possibly could with all of these beautiful practitioners. And it felt like, okay, I'm not hallucinating and this is real. And then all of these facts out there that help support me.
That's cool. Hey, here's the thing I want everybody to know that's in the room here too, and I call it in our room, our studio. Don't worry about talking over or asking somebody else a question. This is definitely an opportunity for us to share and ask each other questions, because the questions you have may be questions somebody else has. So don't worry about it. Just go ahead and chime on in. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think for me, I was very psychic when I was little. I just knew stuff all the time. And then as I grew up, it got shut off and then it came back. And having a psychology background, I thought it was really interesting because I knew I was having a psychotic break because I was living in two worlds at the same time. And I didn't know how to deal with that. And I had teachers at the time, and Julie had very supportive teachers. I had teachers who just kept trying to push me to see what else I could do. And so I think it's really important to find the right people to work with to help you in that process, because not everyone has your best interest at heart. There's practitioners who are in it for all different kinds of reasons. And I think it's really important to find the people that you trust to help guide you on that path as you move forward.
You know what? You hit something that's very important. Both of you did, that you sought out a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you do that? I mean, internet, how did you do it?
I've just always relied on spirit and start looking. And if the name pops up in online, and just tapped into it, if this is for my highest good, may it be so. And I've got really lucky, but I also had a couple teachers along the way that taught me what not to pursue. So they go down a path that wasn't for my highest good, but I learned it real quick and then I get out. And so you start learning different energies. It's a lesson that's not necessarily fun, but you start learning the differences in people out there who are supposed to be mentoring and guiding and teaching, and their frequency is different than yours. So you then learn that frequency in the future, that that's not for me, it's for other people. And then you just keep moving.
You know, you said something too, Julie, that reminded me about the awakening, that you looked it up and everything. That's what I did too, because I was actually in one of the spiritual social club get-togethers, the meetings, and I was describing some of the things that had happened, and I forget who it was that said it to me, but somebody said, "Oh, you had that was a spiritual awakening," and I was like, I didn't even know what the hell that was. What's a spiritual awakening? So that's when I started to GTS everything and Google that shit, everything, and really digging into, okay, what this was going on. What was this? Oh, it was this stage and blah, 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 blah. And then that's why the book came out. But who else?
Could I add one thing? Because it's just popping into my head because they want to make it a distinction, is that it's important that we start to see ourselves as more than just the physical body, because we are light beings in physical structures. And so it's really important to start to see things differently as a consciousness and as human beings. And so I think that that's a lot of what this conference is going to do, is to remind us all of who we really are not what we were conditioned to believe.
Yeah.
That gave me chills, Gail. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We all have the gift. We all have it. And that's where I
Yeah.
think
We're born with it.
we are. Look at the kids who think they have they're imaginary friends. They're really not imaginary. They are born seeing and hearing and looking around, seeing spirits and angels and loved ones. And yeah, so it's a beautiful thing. I had a little different experience. I was very fortunate to have a weird mom who raised me with all of this. So yes, we had to play Psychic Candyland. I think I shared that in the last one, but yeah, we couldn't just move. You had to guess the color beforehand, which, then I became the weird mom and tortured my kids with the same things. So
That's cool.
it is, but I was very, very fortunate. At the time, I didn't think so. Of course, now I see how valuable that was. She was way ahead of the game. She knew a lot about a lot. So this was my normal, and this is becoming the normal for most people now too. It's becoming more mainstream. So this is a perfect time to jump in and dive in and, see what's out there, start to share. And going back to your question, Jim, you asked, like, how do you know it's real?
Mm-hmm.
They'll actually see, because spirit will bring things up too that either hasn't happened yet or things that they're thinking about and haven't shared. And sometimes they'll bring up things that they don't even know till they start bringing up, talking to their family members, which I think is really cool. I said, did your mom have these 3 things for grandmother? She goes, no, she doesn't. I said, are you sure? She texts me, OMG, my mom has all 3 of those things and she wants to know how I know. So it's things like that she didn't even know. So that's how there's something real. There is something to this, because there's no way I could have Googled that or anyone else. So that's when it's real.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So special.
And I'm going to add on to Connie. So where her mom was like, you're going to go to the psychic school, my mom was like, she was schooled, because I was the one that was seeing the, always go, so people ask me, how did it start? And I said, well, I see dead people, like, Sixth Sense. And my mom was actually taken to the cinema with me, with the Reiki master, and we all sat there quiet. And eventually when the movie ended, he just looked at me and my mom says, so she looks at me and she says, do you get it? So I look at her like all confused, and then all of a sudden he's like, he pats on her arm and he's like, Karen, it wasn't meant for her. And I'm like, boom, mic drop. Mom just got schooled. He's like, this was for you to understand what she goes through. And he was like right on the money. So from then on, my mom was a bit more, I think she, instead of, suppressing it and saying that it wasn't there, she was more inclined to then find me when I was sleeping next to a bed, while I was 16, which is pretty old to be sleeping next to your parents' bed, because of the boogie monster. She kind of started to understand that it was chaotic for me. And then it just developed more. I think most of it was sound. I could hear them. And like Connie said, you get the things in your head. I get them like all of a sudden like images, and I get words that don't even belong to me. So one night for me, just to give an example of what happens, Carolyn's also experienced my, and my just like, oh, there it is. So one night I was at a session at a class, and I was busy setting up all my stuff, and I had another yoga teacher with me, and I looked at her, and I said, your dad. And she goes, what about him? I said, well, he wants you to go and get the little black shoes and put them on and start dancing again. She just looked at me and she just froze, and she was like, come again? I said, your dad, he's passed away. He's not here anymore, right? So she just looks at me. I said, yeah. So he wants to communicate with you, but he's not really there for you because you're not putting the work in. So this is what I get from them as well. It's like a relationship. You've got to put in from your side to keep them there by your side. Them by you, if you need to put in. So you've got to do little things that you know they like, or you talk to them, but you got to keep them always there if they are in your space. Because if you just kind of let that relationship lapse, it's like letting a relationship in physical form lapse. So that's what I kept on saying to her. I said, he wants you to get the shoes. And I don't know what, I think it's traditional dancing or something, because as far as I know, ballet shoes, when I used to do it, were pink. Okay, so I don't know where the black shoes are coming from. And she just
Mine were
looked
pink.
at me. And she just looked at me. She's like, you've got to be, and she literally said, you've got to be shitting me. And I said, no. And she's like, anything more? I said, no, that's it. And then I kept on like unpacking, and I went, and she's like, how did you even know? She's like, our traditional black shoes that we wear was like for a traditional dance. How did you know that? I mean, we haven't even spoken on that level. I said,
Great.
Hey,
that's when you say, you know what you know, and then it goes, boom, and then it's gone. And then I just carried on, finishing up my things. And it was just interesting because it's exactly, I don't know. It's like everybody here pins, we try to pin it down to one, but the thing is there's so many things that happen and different interactions that happen, I think, between all of us, sometimes I hear them, and the smell is what normally hits me in the face first. It's the smell. And then for me, I still haven't stepped into that fully, and I'll be honest to say when I'm looking at someone and I go, what is that smell? And I'm like, I want to say something, but I'd like rather not. I rather let that person like say it before I say it. And it was with Carolyn. I had to sit to her, what is the seawater? I don't understand it. And she just started giggling. And then I looked over her left-hand shoulder because I saw a dude, and I was like, I throw my hands up in the air. I literally go, I could be wrong, and this is it. Sometimes we don't follow through either because
Right.
we're like, is this real, or are we seeing things? I haven't taken anything tonight, I'm not on anything, so I don't know. What did they put in my tea? Is there something in my drink? You start to wonder things like that sometimes, and I think that's especially on this retreat, is how to step into that, of people
And
like us that
that's
have
exactly
had
what
the
we're talking about.
experiences, right?
Yep.
And which can come in such strange ways and frightening ways to like interesting and weird berserk ways where stuff just comes into your head and you go, that doesn't belong to me. And how to kind of decipher that of like, what is me and who's the other people that are talking in the space that I'm needing to listen to. And with all these wonderful practitioners here, I think, by the end of this retreat, you can walk away with understanding that fundamentally sort of
Right.
how to tell the difference.
And that's what I was starting to say, is that this is an opportunity for people to hear what these experts have experienced, and you can relate to that. Here's the thing though, too, time is running out and space is genuinely limited for the retreat. When it's gone, it's gone. And we built the retreat with the room being anywhere from 30 to 70 is the max as far as the people that can fit in there. That's it. That's the room. So the clock's a ticking. Let's get, you got to get to it if you want to take part in this, because also the event isn't a webinar that you can catch a replay of. There's going to be 6 practitioners, one room, one weekend, and when it's over, it's over.
And the thing is like, for example, like what Gail and Connie do, and I suppose it's with like all of us, it's going to happen once, but that one time doesn't repeat itself. It's like that one time is the one time. It attracts different people in, different energies, and so it's not going to be the same. So whatever it is that's will take place in this container this time is definitely not going to be the same that happens the next time. So I think that's also really important, just as a kickoff to this retreat. You're not going to incur the same outcomes, I don't think.
So I had already mentioned the number that we have as far as max capacity. And this next question kind of relates to that, because something happens when this work is done in a room with 30, 50, 70 people instead of being alone. What is that? And why does the room itself become part of the medicine for people?
I think it goes back to what we were talking before as far as the group energy and raising to the level. But also these energies right now are supporting spiritual gifts, accelerating them. And I think that's very important. So you get these energies that are already accelerating spiritual gifts, and then you get this group energy and you're getting raised to the highest person of the group. You have just catapulted your spiritual growth. And I want to stress too, that just because I was raised with this doesn't matter. People who, what took me decades to accomplish and strengthen and work at, people are like literally learning in a day and getting these gifts like overnight. And I think that's really important, because I want people to understand that, well, just because we've all been doing it for a long time doesn't matter. It really, truly doesn't. You get that group energy, you get leveled up, you get the energies that are supporting and raising you up automatically.
Yeah, that's what I'm super excited about, is exactly what you're saying, because I'm at the very beginning of my journey in that respect. As soon as I lost my husband, the only thing I knew is that I had to adjust to him being in my life just in a different way. And although that has been, my learning and incredibly painful, I just knew I needed to work on my psychic abilities. And I always knew that we all came into this world with them, but it was only till I started doing work did I realize that, in actual fact, I remember I was reminded that as a child, I used to have a little candle. It was like a safety candle my mum used to give me at night. And the reason I had that was because I used to be frightened of the dark, because I used to feel people were sitting on my bed or at the bottom of my bed. So I think I obviously, as a child, used to see spirit, but I used to block it out because I was so frightened. And then about 5 years ago, I was interested in doing this beginners mediumship and course, and everyone seemed to be able to see except me. And so I had to go on trusting the knowing and just trusting that. And I forgot that when it came back to me trying to work on my psychic abilities. And it's like a muscle. And to be around women and people like you, for people for this seminar, is just going to be so profound. I think so many people are going to get so much from it, no matter where they are on their journey. When spirit comes in, he'll come in. And I know my husband, he takes advantage, like he did of Kerry. He will come in, and I can actually now go out for a random lunch, and I can see that people aren't looking at me, they're looking behind me. And I always say, is that my husband? Is that Matt? And they go, oh my God, yes. And I go, oh, what's he saying? Because I just love it. I just get so excited that, you to have that reconfirmation that spirit is there, that they can communicate, that they are supporting. And, all the time I'm told, oh my God, I feel so emotional because the love that your husband has for you is unbelievable. Most of the time, spirit wants to stay in the background and wants their loved one to get on with their lives. They always say, oh my God, your husband isn't going anywhere. He is with you all the time. And I know that because I also know that was part of our purpose, why he passed away and why I'm still here. And that's why I'm working my purpose. And, it's just so special. And, that's why I say to everyone, because I'm going to have to shoot shortly, but come along, because, what everyone is going to get from this is going to be absolutely amazing. No matter where they are on their journey, they will get some profound shift, an awakening, and whatever you want to call it, in their lives. And they mustn't miss out, because there are limited spaces. And I know everyone feels that's always the case, and everyone says that, but there really is. It's like you say, there's only 70 spaces. Don't be the last to be booking up and then be let down.
Well, and if anybody's been waiting for a sign, and I'm really not being cute with this is literally a sign. Go register today,
Absolutely.
not this weekend, not when things calm down. Do it today. All right.
Meet your
Anybody else?
tribe too. Meet
Yeah,
your
that's true.
tribe. You're gonna this
Exactly.
is a community. You're going to be with like-minded people. People are going to get you. If you've never been feeling like you've been seen or heard, or you feel different, or like you were an alien dropped off or, adopted, you will no longer feel that way, because these people, it's a community, it's a tribe, it's a family. And that's also, I think, what people are going to get if you really want to feel connected.
And that's, I'm going to bring something up because I talk about it whenever I have the opportunity when somebody, about the podcast, right? Where the reason I decided to go take that shift into spirituality rather than staying in a business podcast was because of that feeling, that being you're ostracized, that weirdo or what have you. This was a place for someone to land. And the podcast is kind of it's a virtual way for that to occur, where there's a family, there's a community, the posse, the group, tribe. But this is an opportunity for people to do it in person. And then while you're there, you get the person's number, you talk to them, you plan to do things, you plan to meet. And it's the funniest thing how that happens, because it's happened. Here's the thing. I'm not unique in any way, shape, or form. So if it happens to me, it can happen to you. I mean, there's no reason it won't. I guarantee you're going to come away with not only information you didn't have before, a practice you didn't have before, but friends, family, and a tribe you didn't have before. So it's a great time.
We're encouraging people to come to this event because it's a lot easier nowadays, especially sitting on, and Gail will also know this, on a psychological level. It's easier to communicate over virtual space for a lot of people nowadays. They feel like they're safer in their homes. Right. They don't necessarily want to get out and come into these live spaces because they do feel like that. They feel like virtual safe for me, I'll stay there. So I'm going to say, put on your courage panties, because that's what I normally say to my lovely clients and regulars, is and come and step into the space, because it takes a lot of courage for someone to come and share space with other people that they don't know. But when you do, there's a type of freedom to it when you step into that space and you go, oh my gosh, I took the plunge, I did it. And this is what it feels like to make some connections, some friends, etc. And I'm going to say it feels like, for me, the same time as I jumped off a bungee jump bridge, it's kind of exactly the same feeling. It's that, oh my gosh, I did this, I made the step, I did it. Would I do it again? Yes, because that's the type of person that I am. But some people go, no, that's, one time, one day, and that's it. But I always encourage people every single day, because there's new faces in my classes, is I always encourage that they came in and stepped into the space. Even if they were uncomfortable, they leave with something. And it's like you all of you keep on saying, it's the small shifts that you want, because you know what? It might just make them do something else. They might not come back to the class, and that's what I always say to them. They might not come back to the class, but they might do something that sets them on their path. Just that little shift, little one.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one thing, because spirit won't shut up in my head right now, to be honest with everyone. So this week I've pulled cards, and every card I have pulled is soul love, soul tribe, soul everything. And everyone who's listening or seeing the advertisements feels a pull. That's your soul trying to tell you that you need to do this. So start to listen to that, because it's really important. You're getting nudges. There's a reason you keep seeing it. Sorry, my whole head is vibrating. There's a reason that you're seeing it on social media. If it keeps coming up for you, there's a reason that you're seeing it all the time.
The
Pay
sign.
attention to that. That's a sign. That is your soul telling you you need to do this. Your human body might be, and your consciousness might be saying, no, I can't do that. As Carrie was saying, it's too scary. I can't afford it. Whatever the reason might be, those are excuses. If you continue to see it and continue to feel pulled to it, honor that, because it's really important and you don't want to have regrets. You don't want to say, oh, I knew I was supposed to go, but I didn't. As Carrie said, take the plunge and do it. You're being guided. And that kind of circles back to a lot of the questions that we've already covered today, is to trust those internal nudges that you're getting. There's a reason it's being put in front of you over and over and over again.
Right.
Oh,
I agree. That's, you know what? In speaking of signs, it's one of those things that we oftentimes just ignore, right? We ignore signs that come in because for whatever reason, I think we're just conditioned to do that, or go, or we're just so focused on work, let's say, or a problem or a challenge, whatever it is, that we're ignoring all these little things that keep popping up around us, because they do. They do all day long. But a lot of times we just don't pay attention to them. I was thinking about this too. And this, I don't know if it's not really a planned question, but if someone lets themselves fully be in that room this August, and I'm talking about, no phone, no to-do list, just being present, what's different about them by Sunday afternoon driving home?
Well, I think one of the first things is that they've actually been seen, probably in a long time, that
Yeah.
they're being held by the space, by the people there. They're being witnessed. And a lot of us come from, we're very detached from others right now. And for you to take the time out of your schedule to go to a place you don't know, people you don't know, and to hand over your energy and just have faith to let go of what is not working and to allow new energy in, to allow people to see you, to hear you, to acknowledge you. We all want to belong. And I think the people that are going to end up here are searching for that community where they belong. A lot of us are losing friendships right now, relationships, family members that we aren't jiving with. And if you get a call to do this, just have faith that you're going to be held and seen and that we've got you. We've all been through this. We've all had a lot of loss in our life of just relationships that no longer work. And we have to search out our tribe. You have to be a little proactive, and then spirit will show you the way.
and I'm also gonna, sorry, Jim, I'm also gonna jump in there on top of Judy. I think, to a degree, when we look at the physical, not just the energetic, you're getting a detox during this weekend as well. Of I'm going to say, even a bit of an esoteric detox, but mainly a physical detox, because you're on these devices, like she just said, all the time, and the detachment happens in those relationships that you're supposed to have like normal, like back in the 80s, let's reveal all our ages, go outside and play, because that is how we used to do things. We didn't have these devices and all the computers and the gaming and everything like we did have today to kind of lead us away from that. So it is I'm going to say, on top of that, it's a detox. It's a physical detox that your body is going to get as well. And then with those vibrations, like Gail was talking and Connie was talking about, that high vibration of different people that are going to have obviously stepped into the space a lot more than other people would have, they're going to pull you up.
Right. I was Julie said something that you had to be kind of proactive with that. And that's the thing that keeps coming up to me is you hear people talking about, and I'll use manifestation because I'm going to speak on that at the retreat, but just in general, when people are saying, well, yeah, I spoke with my spirit team, I've prayed, I've done all of these things and still nothing. Well, the still nothing is largely due to the fact that there's nothing that's been done proactively to change that, right? You just, oh, I just hope it changes. I'm wishing. That's okay, but to expect that you're going to get the outcome that you want or something different or something more, in using this as the example, I really wish I could find a group of people that understand me, that get me. This is what we're talking about. But to Julie's point, it's not going to happen if you don't do something about it. And that's why that's one of the main reasons we're doing this. That's one of the main reasons we're putting the listening field retreat on at Eaglewood Resort and Spa in Itasca, Illinois. I'll say the date now because it's in my mind, August 21st through the 23rd. But that's why Carrie and I had been talking about this for a year. And it was, what's missing? What in all of this stuff is missing? What's missing in some of the retreats we've attended? What's missing in our lives? What's missing in society? And it's this. And as far as the retreat's concerned, what we're going to do in the retreat is slightly different than anything else. Is there going to be a gallery reading or gallery readings? Yes. Yes, we have the Warrior of Light that's going to be doing that for us. And we're also going to have practitioners there that if you want something more, if you want something individualized, or let's just say that you were embarrassed to ask a certain question in front of a group of people, the practitioners are going to be there so you can talk to them one-on-one and you can get the answers that you're looking for. And I shouldn't say that, because it's not always what you want is what you get. It's what you need is what you get. So keep that in mind when you register and do it today. Yeah. So I've got one last question for us, and then we'll talk a little bit more and then wrap it up. But we're getting close to the doors closing on this. And if someone listening right now is feeling that pull, but also that resistance, what do you want to say to them directly?
Just do it. You got to move outside your comfort zone. And I think as humans,
So
we don't like
Connie's
change.
going to have to approach Nike and just ask if she can use that slogan, because that's already taken. So she's just going to have to put a disclaimer in there. Sorry, Nike.
Yes, disclaimer. Be like, how about this? Be like Nike. There you go. Thank you, Carrie. Be like Nike. Just do it. Just do it. Because if you're feeling a pull, there's a reason. And usually the resistance is not wanting to change or fear of some sort. And we're all here to move from fear to love, right? This is what we're here to do on Earth. Earth is just a big school for us to do that. Not only are you going to get, which Julie, I love that, and what Carrie was saying too, the reset. You're going to get a reset. You're going to get a start of a new you. This can literally be the start of something new. That can be scary. That can be scary to people. What does that new me look like? I don't know. Promise you, a new you is always going to be better, especially if that's your intention. And another thing too is I'd like to bring up is people who are grieving, people who have lost a loved one. The beautiful thing about this is not only are you getting leveled up, but you're also going to learn techniques of how you can connect with your loved one on your own. You're going to learn from each practitioner different techniques that you can apply right when you get home. And that's what I love. That's what's different and unique about this retreat that I absolutely love. And I'm very passionate about. Sometimes people go on a retreat and they feel great for a week or two. And then what? Life happens, but they don't really know what to do. This will teach you those techniques. This will give you the basics of, oh, okay, now I know I can do this on my own. Does that make sense?
And that's a really good point, because that is what a lot of retreats do. And this is not a shame or a blame game with other
Right.
retreats. I mean, they hold different containers for different reasons. But the ones that I have been to, it is just that. It's like people go to these retreats. They go and do, whether it's plant medicine orientated, whether it is esoteric orientated, it doesn't really matter. They step in that container for 5 to 7 days, and then they step out. And it's exactly what Jim's just said, is that you go back to the beginnings, like what Judy just said. If you're not going to put the effort in afterwards and actually take it's that reflection time and say, ooh, I've got to do X, Y, and Z, then nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be, and this is what I sometimes call retreat jumpers. They jump from retreat to retreat to retreat to try and find this, whatever they're looking for, whether it's life purpose, enlightenment, whatever it is, but they still can't yet. They say, I'm still not there yet. It's because they don't really take in what they're necessarily experiencing in the moment, or they don't understand it. And maybe that's what it is. They don't understand. And this is, again, it circles around back into this retreat again. It's giving the 101 fundamentals about what each person does here, and helps that individual find out, okay, well, that story sounds similar, so let me go and do their program, and maybe I understand more of what I'm supposed to be doing. Because this is what, you can go and take plant medicine and have a whirl and come back, and then you'd, like you just said, Connie, get back into your job the next day and for another year. And look, I got fireworks. But it doesn't necessarily push you to do what is sometimes the hardest thing to do, and that is to go, I need a change, even if it's the slightest thing in what I'm busy doing here. And it's that slightest change that is always the most difficult for me. I've experienced that. It's that slightest change that I've got to make in order to get that. It's just like a slight routine.
Well, sometimes you can't see that
thing.
though either,
No.
right? And I think that's when having some people around you that can bring awareness to that and help you. We have so many blind spots in our lives, in our being, that it's kind of crazy. And to have someone there to say and the answers oftentimes are simple, but they may not be easy, if that makes sense, because they can be glaringly obvious to somebody else other than yourself. And just because it's simple to see that doesn't mean it's going to be easy to change that. And there you go. I think that's, I was thinking, if you guys don't mind, can I ask a few more questions? Because I started to
absolutely not.
write
I'm
some.
on the clock.
Can I just add two things? It ties into what everybody was saying. What this retreat is about is from fear to freedom, right? It's from moving beyond your fear into giving you the sense that you can be truly who you are meant to be. And then the second thing is that Spirit gave me this acronym a really long time ago for HOPE. Hearts open perfectly every time. And that's
Oh,
what
that's
this
cool.
retreat is all about. It is opening your heart perfectly so that you can be the light that you are meant to be in the world. And we are all here to help guide you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well put. Well put.
Beautiful.
That's very well put.
And I know we keep talking about frequency and energy and things like that. If this retreat had its own frequency, a note, a key, a sound, what would it be and why?
Well, that's for Carrie.
Nah,
for all of us.
nah. So this is what I said I was going to answer this question last because I'm the sound person. So I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be interesting for everybody else to do." Don't look at me.
The frequency is truth.
I like
That's a
that.
good one.
What were you going to say, Carrie?
Okay. If I had a note to choose, because that's what I work with, is I'm going to go F and G. So F is diaphragm and G is throat. But they don't necessarily go together in harmony, which is the interesting thing, because we
No,
normally...
they're dissonant.
No, they're dissonant from each other, exactly, which is an interesting one. So it's almost like a ripple of, I'm going to say, energy there between the two notes. G is not just for, we always speak about when we're talking about chakras now, the people that are esoteric out there, we talk about, speaking your truth, but everybody forgets that we're three-dimensional beings and we've got to turn around like this and we receive here. So I'm just going to say that it's not speaking your truth, it's actually listening. It's taking in information. I mean, as a practitioner, I want you to take in my information, but I think there's a lot more there. I think it's the connections that people make with each other. They have to listen to each other in order to understand where each other sits. And, that's how they connect, by listening and talking. It's that even give and take there. And I think for me, it's like the heart has to be open to receive, but then another part has to be open there to listen. So, and then it's the talking. So it's all kind of in this realm for me. I don't necessarily, it's not, this I think will come later, these top notes, but no, for me right now, it's all kind of in this. It's like it's the real way, I call it, like, it's where the real stuff is done, when
The real work.
comes to, where the work, because when we talk in notes, we talk, obviously, we start at the bottom and then work yourself up in the body. But it's not, I mean, we're going to exactly what the whole schedule is. We start from one point and work you up like that. But I think in the whole sense of the retreat, it's a lot of the work that kind of goes on in this part of the body and not necessarily other places. The other places will be there, but because we've got to set that tone and keep you grounded and safe, and that is the bottom. But I think, yeah.
Cool. Anybody else have anything? Any thoughts on that?
Whatever the frequency of love is. I'm not great with I don't know what the tunes are. Is that F? There you go. F. Thank you. That would be my vote.
Okay.
And intuition too. So what would be the sixth chakra or the seventh chakra? What frequency would that be?
AB.
So
AB.
AB. Those seem like a deeper one though. I would think it'd be higher. Is A higher?
Is higher.
A is higher. Yeah. I'm thinking of D.
D is sacral.
Mm-hmm.
That's lower.
With your movement,
Gotcha.
And Sue's already low. It's down there. But also, again, it's like me and Jim were having this discussion. It's like your pitch also changes. So, like, you can have
pitch or frequency. You could say the same thing.
Yeah. So you could have, like, for example, let's take my bowls, for example. You could have.
Did you say bowls?
I thought she said
balls. Not bowls, not like bowls. Okay?
I couldn't tell the difference when you said that balls.
It's the accent.
Did you say balls?
People, balls.
I thought she said take my balls, for instance.
Balls, not
okay.
balls.
I'm glad you said it, Jim, because I was.
She said balls, not balls.
BOWLS.
She said balls.
Said balls, not balls. Let's make sure that we're clear.
Like, okay, yes, to make sure that we know it, balls, not balls.
Yay.
Okay, I even make this like gesture, right? So if you've got a big A note bowl, and then you've got a small C note bowl, it's going to make that one's going to make a higher pitch than that of what the A is going to be. It's going to be lower. So it just depends again. But I mean, because some people go, no, not the notes go in different places. But I still disagree with that, because there's a lot of instruments that are actually categorized into certain places in the body too,
All right.
like string and all of that. But I'm not going to go into that because Jim will say no.
Yeah, no. So we had mentioned, a place for people to land their tribe and things of that nature. What's a myth about this world? Intuition, energy, the energy work, I should say, spiritual awakening, that you're personally on a mission to bust?
Oof.
I don't
When you say
particularly.
sorry, Judy, like when you say on a mission to bust, you mean like we're on a mission to bust, or
Yeah.
like,
So there are a lot of misnomers, myths, false statements about all this work. What is it that you personally are on that mission? And it's not to, I always say it's not my job to convince anybody, but let's be honest, people are going to feel things here that they probably or maybe haven't felt before, physically, emotionally, spiritually. All the feels that you could possibly have are more than likely going to be tripped. So with that in mind, what's your mission?
Well, my mission is to normalize it. I think people are so shut down and blocked right now that they don't know that there's another way of living. I personally don't like the woo comments. Oh, they're very woo, they're witchy, they're this, they're that. And really, what we are is alive, and we've opened up our hearts to allow spirit, guidance, our higher self in to make life a little bit more free, a little bit more alive, and a little bit more purposeful while we're here at Earth School, right? We're here to learn and to develop and awaken. And those who are still in a box of what they think is safe, they're actually suffocating. So my don't necessarily love mission, but I do think one of my purposes here is to help people hold their hand and help them feel safe as they open that door and let the light in, let their vision in, let a different way of being here. And then it's easier. Like your path, then you're in the flow of life. And so you're still going to have bumps and losses and everything that happens on earth, but let's help you open a door so you can breathe a little easier. Carrie's going to help you, open up those lungs and open up that heart chakra. And we're all here to help you, support you with all the questions you'll have if you're safe to walk through those doors.
Cool.
I agree.
I like that. Yeah, I like that answer, because it is. I think a lot of us are in that, especially where I'm at in my location, and I suppose it's already been revealed, but we get a lot of pushback on that, and specifically for those reasons, because people think it falls into categories where, and it makes me sad because it falls into categories just because people don't understand it. They kind of shun it. So, and I think that's also another reason, for having this retreat, is letting people understand that there is a science behind it. It is backed by tradition and science. it's not just like, oh yeah, okay, obviously, like we're just going to make something up here and this is what exists. It's not that. There's method behind everything that every single one of these practitioners do. And they know how to explain, the basics of how it works. And I think that is a myth to bust. It's a hard one. Because it's so much, I'm going to say, over social media. You've got the two different extremes of the pendulum at the moment. You've got the ones that are really grounded, and I think you find within this group, and then you've got another different type of, I'm going to say, group that sits on the other end, which just pushes out everything out of proportion too, which then also splits people into two.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you're talking about is fear, though, because especially when people start to label something or they get angry about something that they don't know, it's fear of the unknown. Life sometimes just sucks, but it doesn't have to, right? It doesn't have to. You don't have to stay stuck. And here's the thing I'll say too, it's not like once you've had a spiritual awakening or you've done these classes and the work here, it's not that you never get angry or upset or hurt or sad. You do still, because you're still human, right? We're still here on earth. But with these tools, it helps you get through it a little easier, a little faster, better than it was before, less painful.
So I'm going to ask another question on top of that. If I was like someone that had not experienced any of this, how do I know what we are giving out on that weekend is the right thing to attend to? Because just exactly what we've said and what you've said, how would you put it to a person that we are the right way to go and not that of, how can I say, I'm going to mention this, I'm going to throw it out there. You've all seen these ridiculous videos of these people sometimes doing esoteric work with them all shaking and the whole toot, like the soul is leaving the body, and it looks like an orgasm busy happening in the room, and it's normally a lot of male practitioners, and I'm just going to say what I'm going to say because that always put Reiki in its place, and Reiki, we do not get trained that way, and we all know what Reiki entails. So for specifically something like that, how do you say to someone that what we're offering is the right direction to that of the complete opposite of what you would see there and what they're offering?
I'll first say something about the practitioners. Each one of the practitioners was vetted, and it took time to come up with this list of practitioners, because I think both Carrie and I were very careful in the selection process, because, well, let's talk about frequency, because the energy or frequency or vibration that we wanted for this group specifically came from light and love. I know that sounds hokey, but I'm telling you right now that if these people didn't align with that frequency that we wanted to come to the event for the listening field retreat, they wouldn't be here. Because it's not about monies and can we take advantage of someone. It was, how can we help? Because I think everybody's coming from the point of view or the position of service. That's what I know I was very careful in, and I know Carrie was very careful in, that everybody approaches this from that point of view, that we're here to serve, to help. And I don't know how that could be bad.
I wrote the same answer. It's all love-based. That's, and not that others aren't, but it's just, they're just different. Every experience, like you mentioned before, is where you're
Different
supposed to
strokes
be.
for different folks.
Yeah, no So there's no bad, there's no good. It's really just an experience and what kind of experience does a person want. And I think the second thing too is anyone can do this. This isn't something that is outside of yourself.
Right.
And that is the beautiful thing that you'll start to see is the things that you're already experiencing, you're already getting messages from spirit. And that's one of the things that we're going to let you know that you're already doing it anyway. It's just now you can have some practical techniques, different things to be able to do to move stuff through your body. And the beautiful thing too about the way this is set up that I love, people think, well, yes, you have to do the work, but there are also techniques that you guys, everyone can learn that will help move things through your body where you don't have to go to those places where with the trauma. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can move them through with sound. You can move them through with Qigong. You can move them through with different meditations where it doesn't, it can be with grace and ease. So people who are fearful of wanting to feel something or feeling like, oh, something may come up, it's really about processing it and how to process it too in a healthy way. And take the energies that we have. We all have stuff in us. We all have baggage. I don't care who you are, unless you're, a monk who's been doing that for decades, right? We all have stuff. So why don't we move through this more with grace and ease and sound and different techniques that we can use where we don't necessarily, it doesn't have to, I feel like people think of it sometimes that as a negative thing.
Right.
It doesn't have to be negative at all. This can be a beautiful thing, a beautiful process.
I agree.
And I'd like to add that we're all doing this to be in service. We have this calling from Spirit. There's no ignoring it any longer. We've each made a commitment that this is our life's work. This is what we're doing. We're here to help, guide, heal, teach. We're in service here. So I prefer not to even mention what's going on negatively in this world, to just focus on what we do as a positive force in nature to shine our light even brighter, and that you are safe to shine your light. You don't have to hide it any longer.
Right. I agree.
Your aura just lit up blue all the way. I don't know if you guys can see that. It literally lit up blue all on the right side. It started to dissipate, but did you see that blue come up? That's the teacher and the psychic in you, and the green on the left to it. Sorry, I just had to point that out.
Well, I do get a little fired up when because this hasn't been easy. This has not been. I have learned from so many teachers. This is going on 20 years of me learning and trying to get as confident as possible so that I can do no harm. I can only help in the light. And that those that are called to this retreat, we are here. We're showing up for you. We're in service to you, and we're here to only help. And to perhaps just help you navigate a relationship with a family member just a little bit easier by the end of the day, whether they're in spirit and so you need a help of a medium, or you need sound healing to remove energy that is no longer yours, or to understand constellation therapy in a completely different way, and then how to manifest your dreams. I mean, it really is an all-encompassing group coming together to be in service to you.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, and Julie, yeah, because I get where you're coming from, where you say, you get fired up with, coming from a lot of the negative can like overthrow the positive. And I think it's just, again, like you've just said, you've gone through many teachers, and it's going through the teachers that serve and the teachers that don't. That I think Connie mentioned earlier, you're going to find those teachers that are in the same frequency and those ones that don't. I don't know who said that. But at the same time, it's I think where I've had a lot of these chats with fellow practitioners, and that always been one of the discussions that come up nowadays is how to, because it's constant trying not to one up. I think it's just trying to, it's like you said, it's trying to shine that light. It's trying to just put that positivity of what it actually is that you are meant to do. But sometimes the noise from the other side is sometimes so much. And that is normally where the conversation goes, is how do you sometimes break through that? How do you break through that in order to get that shift for people to start, you know, coming to the other, to whether it's your side or other people's side, but that place from where that love, that unconditional, that love, that service of like, this is not a monetization thing. That's not why we're here. We're here for, you know, the purpose of helping people. And it's to kind of get that across, I think, to a degree, because a lot of people they see money when it comes to these things, and that sometimes overshines the other retreats and things that all the good things that people are trying to do.
Okay, unless there's anything anybody else would like to add, I'm going to wrap us up. No? Okay. Well, it's just about time to cue the music. But before I do need just about 30 more seconds of your attention. Julie, Connie, Carolyn, Gail, Carrie, thank you all for being here today and for letting people know a little bit about how it's going to feel like when they're at the event. Everything on how to work with each of you is going to be in the show notes. Now listen, the Listening Field Retreat is happening at Eaglewood Resort and Spa in Itasca, August 21st through the 23rd. Time is running out and space is genuinely limited. And like I said before, we built this room for 50 to 70 people, and it will not stay open. If anything you felt in the conversation today landed, go register now. The link's going to be in the show notes. The link's in my bio. Don't wait for the perfect moment. This is the moment. All right, my Drop the Needle posse, like Billy Joel, we've gone from the highs to the lows, and that brings us to the end of the show. Until next time, this is Jim Alstott, wishing you infinite health, infinite happiness, and the perfect playlist for your life. Thank you again for being the best part of us. Catch you next time.